everyone. I can barely see you, but I know you're out there. So, and good morning to Chancellor Khosla. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning.
Today.
Yep.
And we're just going to get right into it.
Because
we have about a half hour.
Sounds like a threat, but go ahead.
For this fireside chat. I'd like to actually give the audience a little something that they wouldn't normally get. So what I'm going to ask you is, you have this extensive resume and bio that people can readily see online, but share with this audience something that most people don't know about you.
Oh, I don't know what that would be, right? I think most people don't know that I have 3 kids who don't think I'm smart enough to be their father. They assign all of their properties to their mother, which is fine with me, by the way, which keeps our marriage happy, and she's happy, and I'm happy. But maybe most people would not know how I got to this country and why I came here. So I came here in 1982. When I was in India, I graduated from IIT. It's one of those super elite institutions, which only takes my class was only 30 people in electrical engineering. So when I finished, I did not like the job I was doing. I was actually designing power systems, like transmission lines and protecting transmission lines to avoid blackouts. And I was using computers to do that in India, okay, 1980. So I said, you know what, this is going to be the future. So I come to the US to do computer control of power systems. I walk into this professor's office, and he said, you know what, that brochure you have is 3 years old. I don't do that anymore. I said, oh, okay, tell me, what do you do? He said, I do this new thing called robotics. I said, okay, what does it mean? So he explained to me this robot arm that he was doing. I said, okay, it's the same as power systems. It's the same differential equations describing that motion. I'll do that now. So dumb luck, I was one of the first, not the first, but one of the first few PhDs in robotics. Carnegie Mellon had started the Robotics Institute then. And I was fortunate to learn from Herb Simon, Alan Newell, Raj Reddy. I mean, these are the stalwarts of the Dartmouth conference. That's when they defined AI, right? So it was actually a great experience. So that's my foray into this field. Dumb luck, pure accident, and immigrant hunger to get a job that can pay my bills so I don't have to go home. So.
All right, and then you ultimately fell into this job of being the chancellor of one of the greatest research universities.
But this is the beauty of this country. I mean, our higher education is the biggest soft power we have. It not only influences individuals, it actually influences policies in countries. I mean, I look at now when I go back India or China and other countries, including the Middle East, a lot of the people, the younger people in their 40s who are educated, they speak perfect English. They were born in Arkansas. They were born in Kentucky. It's really amazing. And they're back in their own country, and they bring American values to their politics most of the times, not all the time. And then it's actually amazing to see the higher education system impact individuals and their leadership in their countries.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all feel the way you do in terms of the importance of higher education, not just to this country, but to the world. But back to your background, and so you've been a computer and electrical engineer, working on robotics, working on AI, and I think you spent some time at DARPA as well.
Right.
What I want to ask is, in these intervening decades, if you could go back to sort of the mindset that you were in, would you have predicted that we are where we are now with the state of AI capability?
The one-word answer is never. Okay. Would not have. So I spent 3 years at DARPA, 94, 95, 96. So 94 is when the web browser just came out from Illinois. I don't know if you remember that. And it was supposed to be a revolutionary thing. And at that point, Microsoft very strongly said, this has no place in computing infrastructure. Really, Bill Gates denounced the web browser, and a lot of senior people did, right? So at that time, I was running programs in autonomous drones and autonomous vehicles. So the idea was, can we fly an airplane autonomously? And the question we were wrestling with at DARPA was an ethical question, assuming we can do that, and we knew we could do that because the technology was there. Would we ever let a robot fire a missile or drop a bomb? Now, this is 94, 95, okay? It's not that long ago. Literally, nearly 10 years ago, or even less than 10 years ago, the US used drones to, the UAVs, to drop bombs autonomously, target people and vehicles in the Middle East, in Afghanistan. You can just go down the list, right? As we speak, Ukraine, autonomous vehicles are being used to drop bombs. So what was ethical question in 94, 95 is becoming an operational question. And I don't even know who's thinking about the ethics of this whole issue. It's problematic. So those were the programs we were dealing with. And I did not imagine, and DARPA wanted to kill AI. And we worked really hard to not kill AI because it was not making any quote unquote impact. Luckily, we did not, but I did not imagine in 2023 there would be ChatGPT that's going to fundamentally change how we think about AI. So let me say one more thing. AI has been with us for a long time, right? If you remember AT&T, the voice saying hello, and you talk to this computer voice, that was AI. It was voice recognition, right? There's the OCR, optical character, that's AI. That's like character recognition. Computer vision is AI. So AI has multiple forms. It's not just ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the most, how should I say, in-your-face form telling you that I can think like you do, and I'm going to know. No, seriously, and that's what has shaken all of us up in many ways.
Tell me who you listen to in the AI space. Tell me how you make decisions, how you evaluate information.
So honestly, there's no single person I listen to. I just randomly read a lot of stuff on the web. But no, seriously, just look at all the news articles, you look at new news releases, you look at what's happening, what the development looks like, and you get a feel for what's happening out there. So there's no single person, because look, if you pick like 20 people, and look, here's a crowd of people who have used AI for education, right? I wish all of you are on my faculty because I don't think I have so many faculty members at UC San Diego who are so committed to using AI. There are a lot of people, don't get me wrong, and most of them are here, but not so many, right? But people have different views of what AI is. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Is it ethical? Is it fair? Is it equitable? Is it not? Is it going to create more poverty? There's multiple different views. So I think we just have to listen to everybody, and all of us individually have to make our own view, create our own views. It's just like politics in some sense. You don't listen to one or two people, you listen to multiple thoughts and multiple people, and then you ask yourself, what is it that I'm going to focus on? What do I believe in?
Well, we live in a very polarized
Yes.
country where people's information sources are highly curated according to maybe beliefs that they already have. But that's a different conversation, perhaps. But in terms of AI deployment, what I've heard is that AI it's a strategic priority for UC, and
Yes.
I'd love for you to talk more about that. But also, what is the signal to noise? Because I do think that there is a lot of noise out there and a lot of contrary information about the amazing capabilities that AI has versus it can't even take notes accurately. So.
I mean, look, so I'm not an economist. Let me just try to play one on stage out here. So if you look at our ability to uplift people and bring them from this level of economic capacity to that level, right? Like upward mobility, it is all enabled by technology, by efficiencies, by producing more with fewer people and giving people more that they can consume and deploy, right? And we have done that well, whether it was replacing muscle power with steam power, replacing writing with printing press. I can just go down the list. There's multiple amplification technologies over the years, Industrial Revolution 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That have really helped us uplift this society, this whole humanity, actually, generate a lot of wealth. I think AI is now one of those which at one time in 2000, I thought it was going to be IT and web, but now AI takes the cake. It has created a completely nonlinear effect, both in terms of creating wealth. NVIDIA, $5 trillion, is larger than the economy of India, which is the 6th or the 7th largest economy in the world, okay? Just imagine that. Nowhere have we ever created wealth like this, right? I mean, most of those magnificent seven are more than $1 trillion in market cap. So that wealth is now created, and you would think that it would be distributed in the world, but it's not. Maybe like there's 1 million people who own the stocks there, and those are the people making the money. The rest of the people have no clue what this wealth is doing for them. So I think it's creating a divide, but it's also creating a lot of wealth. So I think our problem is that the wealth creation suddenly has become very, very, very lopsided. I mean, IT revolution created the lopsidedness, but now it's become really lopsided, right? So if you go back to the 50s and 60s and these car companies, there was a lot of wealth created in making GM, Chrysler. But it was also distributed to the workers whose wages went up. They used dishwashers, they used ovens. I mean, suddenly there was a whole economy, middle-class economy created, right? And we are not seeing that anymore. So that to me is the challenge, right? So what was the question?
Well, let's stay on that.
I'm being a professor.
Let's stay on that for a minute in terms of the wealth creation and that we're not seeing that, we're not experiencing that. And in some ways, you might say, we're starting to see the signals of the opposite, right? In terms of the jobs numbers, and that we are going to efficiency-ize our way into losing our souls in our shirts. So what are your fears about backlash in terms of embracing AI?
So I'm actually personally very bullish on AI. I think I've been trying to refine my own thinking. I don't know if I've completely arrived at an endpoint, but here's what I think. I think AI in the hand of individual people is an amplifier. So each one of you, when you look at how you use AI, it amplifies your abilities, your ability to remember, recall, compute. I can go down the list, search, like whatever you want to say, it really helps you. If you're bad at math, AI makes you look like a genius suddenly, right? If you're bad in English, you can't write sentences, AI makes you look like you're a good writer. That's at the individual level. I think at scale, AI has a little bit, in the hands of countries, in the hands of large corporations, I think it has some potential negative aspects because one can use AI at large scale to really, I would say, destroy societies. I'm not saying it's happening, don't get me wrong. So misinformation that became very strong over the last 5, 7, 10 years because of social media, AI can amplify that 100 times, both in terms of speed and making crap up, right? So there's good and bad. So my view is in the hands of individuals, it actually is an empowerment. I mean, and to me at UC San Diego, I want to give it to individual people and empower them to be more efficient, to be more satisfied, to have more free time if they can, right? If you can do your job in 20 hours instead of 40, I'm not converting you to half time. I just get to keep your 20 hours and just do something else. So that's how I look at it, right? So I'm not looking at large scale deployment. Like in the hands of countries like Russia or Ukraine, I mean, there's destructive power. I mean, you unleash these 1,000 drones simultaneously.
So in the hands of university, though, you run one, you're saying that the upside is empowering the individual people.
Right.
And units at the university to do their jobs.
Both faculty, staff, and students, right? Mm-hmm. So university is an entity, but the university is really preparing individuals to be operational and to be impactful in society, right? So in the hands of those individuals, I think it is very powerful. You have more capacity and capability now than you were born with. That's the way to think about this.
What about things like Triton GPT? And AI is IT. It is a rollout. So how is it meeting your expectations? How is it meeting expectations of users?
So we have our people. I see Kevin, he's right there. He's the guy leading Triton GPT. So Triton GPT, for example, the idea was the following. When GPT came out, so GPT, when it came out, it had learned whatever it learned based on knowledge of the whole web, which is like trillions and trillions of bytes of information, right? I don't need all of that. I don't know what's happening in Rwanda to answer a question here. So my view was, let's focus on learning just what UC San Diego is all about, our policies, our procedures. Because a lot of the mistakes we make in our day-to-day life is not because we are evil people and we want to make mistakes. It's because we don't know policy correctly. We remember incorrectly. We don't know where to go to, but we have 10 minutes to finish the task, and we're going to do something now, right? So the idea was that we should train this chatbot on UC policies and the UC San Diego specific implementation of UC policies and our rules and procedures, and then it's in everybody's hand. So if you have any question, you just ask Triton GPT, and there it is, giving you the answer right away. And I think we have seen a lot of improvement in terms of errors and stuff like that. And we are also distributing that nearly for free. The only thing we ask is you have to say powered by UC San Diego. Or UC San Diego Inside. You remember Intel Inside? Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about the uses of AI for the university, right? Because there are multiple buckets. I think efficiency is one of them, but let's talk actually about scientific and academic discovery. And so with each of these, how does it benefit or how can it benefit the university? What are some potential, what's like the best potential you see? What are the pitfalls that you see?
So before I go to discovery, let me talk about education, right? So you probably know about this report that our faculty wrote on math, where no, seriously, I mean, right? So when we found that out, and I realized how much money we were going to spend on quote-unquote remedial education, like a couple of $1 million a year, which was coming out of basically our education budget, it just did not make sense. So we had a couple of faculty, and they're here, like Sash and other people are here, who basically developed these tutors for Math 2 and Math 3. And they're going to, basically, somewhere in the conference, they're going to talk about this. By the way, funded by your learning lab, thank you. And they're showing like more than a 60% improvement in passing rates for those courses. So there is power where you can really help the individual master material faster than you could just with human people, with the human beings, and also much cheaper. So there's power in that. So the next step is going to be discovery. So I just was visiting a company in Boston where they're combining AI and robotics to discover new molecules and new compositions of pharmaceuticals automatically. And this working 24/7, it just keeps on combinatorially connecting A with B with C and in different combinations. And they have found a few things that a human being would have taken like 25 years to find. So I think it's going to change research. It's not just using. So there's one thing to use AI for your research. It's a different thing to have AI do the research, right? Because the AI problem in so there's multiple views of what AI is, like what is human intelligence, right? So, but simply stated, some people pose it as a search problem in some space of possibilities, and some people pose it as a computational problem. But it's a combination of both that you can now, and this is what is going to impact, it's going to change research completely. Not right now, in 5, 7, 10 years.
Okay, so that's the time horizon in terms of the tools getting better or us getting better?
Tools getting better, us getting better, and the real power will be unleashed when AI and robotics is combined. So AI right now can only think, it cannot act. We human beings, using our actions, we create products and services, right? So when you combine the two, when you can imagine a GM factory which has got not a single human being except their CEO. No, that will happen. Just watch. I mean, Tesla's already on its way to do that. So that will happen. And when that happens, there's going to be a big impact on jobs. Now, if you imagine the next generation where you can discover or invent the new formulation for a battery that is twice the power density of today, just by using search mechanisms, It's unbelievable what's going to come out of this.
Okay, I'm going to pretend you didn't say that about jobs, but I wanted to relate some of the research to the education. So my fear, and you rightly named this audience, as a lot of our grantees are in the audience, and they are experimenting with AI. Yep. I would say that it's not all positivity, though. Yes. I think a lot of our grantees are doing it because we have to engage in understanding it better. We have to understand how to coexist, especially when it comes to teaching and learning. And my fear, right, is that as all of our brilliant researchers leverage these really powerful tools, maybe for societal gain, we are going to be leaving behind this younger generation in terms of how they acquire, how they learn. that the
Yes.
tools themselves are going to not develop that sort of robust critical thinking skills. And that's sort of the fear. And the experiments that I think a lot of our grantees are running is, well, how can we make sure it's the best use cases versus inappropriate use cases
Right.
versus like just a waste of money? So what are your fears? I think there are great use cases developing.
Right. So my fear is that it's very easy to be fearful of technology. Now I'm going to ask you a question. How many of you grew up learning multiplication tables by memory? See? Okay, how many of you believe that your kids, less than 15 years old today, know multiplication tables? So, very few, right? But I'm telling you, so when I was a student, the calculator had just come out. So I got excited, and the university was concerned. The faculty, oh, wait a second, these people will not know how to think. Now it's a machine, it's automated. They don't understand multiplication anymore. Long story short, that was like 50 years ago. Here I am. I still remember multiplication tables, but the kids nowadays are smarter than I am in many ways. So what I'm saying is, it's normal to be afraid of technology. It takes a little while to absorb it into our lifestyle, into our thinking, into our society. So we cannot let fear stop us from moving, and that's my fear about AI. We cannot be so fearful that we don't adopt it, but we cannot be so blind that we don't see how it could be destructive and manage that through, political processes, regulatory process, whatever the process is. But we need to absorb it, but we need to not just shun it.
Okay, I think there are a lot of mathematicians in the room and math educators in the room, I'm guessing, and some might argue that students these days don't have any number sense, and that is a problem, and that might actually relate to not knowing your multiplication
I am with you. Now, that's the simplest one. There are some people who would argue that people don't understand the fundamental concept behind integration, behind differentiation, which is more rampant, believe it or not, than multiplication, right? But nonetheless, calculators can do that automatically, and people who are problem solving, they don't need to know the basic details. They just need to know that what the answer is going to be like. So I think the human form of thinking is now thinking differently than we were thinking 30, 40 years ago.
Okay, I think that's absolutely. I think that's absolutely fair. As I hear about some of the projects, it almost seems like new genres are being created, right? Things that don't neatly fall into the categories that we had in the past. And maybe there is something
Right.
in the learning space where we need to be comfortable with different models for learning.
That's true. And look, we are solving similar problems, solving them better, more accurately, more precisely, much faster.
Yeah. Back to the question of efficiency. And this is where the jobs question actually does come up.
Yep.
And I think it exists in tension with each other.
Yes.
Right? How are you going to maintain the jobs when there is efficiency? There might not always be, but when there is efficiency, but that the external cost pressures are so great, like won't it be likely that you do see a reduction of jobs based on efficiency?
I think that is true, reduction in certain areas. So I think this was true, for example, back in the 90s when the semiconductor IT revolution really took off, right? When software engineering, automation really took off. There was clear understanding that some jobs just went away, but then other jobs were created. So it's not like a total population lost jobs, but types of jobs were replaced with some other types of jobs. The question with AI is this what's going to happen, or is it literally going to lead to jobs being eradicated? So like as we speak, there are 3.5 million truck drivers in this country, okay? They make a good, their compensation is anywhere from 100 to 200, depending on how many hours a day you're driving, right? Which is not bad money for a middle-class family. As today, right now, all of them can be abolished right away because there's enough technology to drive these trucks 24/7, not 8 hours at a time, 24/7, fewer accidents than human beings can, right? But it has not happened yet because of regulation, adoption, the expense of adoption. So what I'm saying is this is not going to change overnight. So there's going to be times between There's going to be a time lag between what is possible and when it will be possible. And we as human beings have to think about how we make that happen slowly without causing significant, how should I say, disruption in society. It's one thing to disrupt a company. It's a different thing to disrupt society. And my concern is disruption in society more than disrupting business models.
Interesting. Well, in terms of the jobs, and I do think that right now the young people are rightly concerned about what the job market is going to look like, what industry sectors will be on the rise versus be wrapping it up. And what do you tell the young people, right? Because everybody is looking for how can I get that next credential or the next certificate? And that's certainly the message coming out of Sacramento is how do we make sure that people can access jobs through certification? So what do you tell young people?
So I tell young people that not adopting AI and not learning the basic tools of AI is a certain way to become useless. So they have to adopt the tools of AI. They have to learn AI. So the question is like, how are we, the older people, the people in power, people who are politicians, people who are in positions of influence, trying to make sure that we are using AI to create efficiencies without causing significant disruption. It actually is easier said than done. And even as I'm speaking these words, I know that it is not easy to be truthful to these words because by adopting AI at scale, you will cause disruption. So I'm trying to figure out what are the other ways we can use the human talent that is freed up in doing, repetitive, run-of-the-mill jobs, right? And that's where we have to count on the creativity of human beings. So like right now, how many of you thought that being an influencer was a job like 10 years ago? No, like seriously, think about this.
I still tell my kids it's not a real job.
But people make like obnoxious amounts of money, and there's more influencers than you would think. And it doesn't take 5 million followers to be an influencer. Like 20,000 followers, 30,000, it all depends on the advertising company and what they believe is a return on investment. So what is happening is, like when Google first came out, I never thought that search would be a business, honestly me. But now, search is one of the largest businesses in the world, actually, and that's powering all of this innovation. All of the innovation in AI that you're seeing is powered by search, which is then powered by advertising dollars, like literally. That is literally the business model. I did not realize how big this advertising business was.
So, meaning that people should be flexible about what they think of as the next.
People have to be creative. I mean, look, people figure out, how they fit into society. And I don't think, so I think there's a lot, in olden days, large companies used to create jobs. I think going forward, you will see more jobs being created by individuals, like individuals doing what they want to do. And that's why I gave the influencer as an example. You don't need anybody to be an influencer. You just need to have some crazy idea that 10,000 people are liking your Instagram post.
Okay, separate from the need for people to actually earn a living, what, in terms of the university's job, are we still educating the whole person? I
Yes.
fear sometimes the rhetoric on workforce and you better be AI literate and have AI skills. We're sort of getting away from this idea of a university education.
So I hear people say that. I am not so convinced about it, right? I think we underestimate an individual's power to survive and to be successful. I really think we underestimate how powerful individuals are. So take, for example, if you go to UC San Diego or pick any UC or pick any four-year university, Cal State in the country, right? I think people learn things. They may not learn everything you want them to learn, but in the end, they figure out a way to how to use what they're learning, to decide what they're going to learn, and to really use that for what they want to do, what they're passionate about. And at the end of the day, And that's the beauty of this country and our education, that we believe in people's passions and their power. Like, if you believe in what you do, we support them. And the country has done really well. I mean, look, that's not the case in India, okay? It's happening now when there's a lot of wealth generated. Now you see people in India, parents saying, okay, it's okay to be a fashion designer. When I was growing up, engineer or doctor, otherwise you're a loser. So, no, like, not kidding you, right? So, but that's the power of wealth creation, where suddenly people realize that there's more options available to human beings on how they want to fulfill themselves, their lives, and as part of it, contribute back to society and build a dynamic society.
Okay, last two questions, because we're almost out of
Okay.
time. One is, what's your advice to faculty based on the time we're in and AI deployment?
So look, I mean, being the chancellor, whatever I say is going to be a lie anyway. Right? Because I'm the only one that doesn't know the truth. But having said that, my advice would be to embrace AI, to embrace technology, and not be afraid of it, but also not be so blind that you think that's the panacea that's going to solve all the problems. It's also going to create problems. Just like any technology that we have done, that we have dealt with, there's advantages, there's disadvantages, and as human beings, we need to be thinking both sides.
Okay, and then the last question is for the faculty audience. Is there anything that you would want them to know that I haven't asked you about?
I think I want them to know that I actually believe in the power of individual, and especially the power of faculty to do the right thing for themselves and for the students. And I think we should just keep on doing. We should keep on questioning, and you should just keep on doing, and just focus on the next generation, because at the end of the day, we don't know all the answers individually, but collectively, we know all the answers. We just don't know where to find them and how to find them right now.
Okay, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Chancellor Khosla, for joining us, and we'll hand it back to our MC.